hey, how did you get to where you are? He's like, good decisions. And he's like, okay, well, how did you learn to make good decisions? He goes, experience. He's like, well, how did you get experience? Like, bad decisions.
Welcome back to Life by the Horns, guys, where we are all bull and no bullshit. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about gratitude. And as most people are setting goals right now, and goals about more money, more freedom, more growth, more opportunity, nobody's really asking the harder question, which is, have I actually done well with what I already have? Because gratitude isn't proven by what you say, it's proven by what you steward. There's a principle in the Bible that says if you're faithful with little, you'll be trusted with more. But if you're careless with what you've been given, even that can be taken away. And you see it everywhere. People want more influence, but won't protect their integrity. They want more money, but don't manage what they already have. They want better results, but don't commit to better habits. Then they blame timing, the system, or even luck. This episode isn't about resolutions. It's about responsibility. What did you steward well this year? What did you neglect? And where might more be waiting on the other side of discipline? Today, I'm joined with Nicholas Morrill, my great friend from Rise Athletic Performance and Redo Recover, a leader who lives at the intersection of faith, discipline, and growth. So before you ask for more this year, ask yourself, are you actually ready for it? Let's jump into it. Nick, how are you today?
I'm doing really well, man. That was a great intro. And thank you again for having me. I genuinely enjoy being here. And this is it's one of my favorite topics. It's something we talk about often in our leadership group, our coaching group, our fellowship groups, everything. And I know you and I were even discussing it just before we hopped on. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too, man. So when you hear the word gratitude, what does it actually mean to you today that it may not have meant 5 or 10 years ago?
Gratitude 5 to 10 years ago would have meant, thank you for getting me out of this jam. It would have been me calling on God for a favor or for avoidance of something that would have been painful to me. Gratitude now is the ability to say thank you for all of it. Thank you for the hard times with the understanding that they're molding me into something better or different. Thank you for the good times and being able to actually sit down and relish them, even just like the most simplistic things, like having the ability to pray over my children, having the ability to have a relationship with God, and also being able to sit back and not try to control everything, and the firm foundational understanding that even if it's not okay, it's going to be okay.
You know, it's funny you say thank you for the things that were bad or problematic, or what most people would say isn't great, because most people would say, damn you, God. Mm-hmm. Well, why is that so important to be thankful for that stuff?
Because I've lived both sides, right? So there was a point in time where I was very angry with God. And I didn't understand the season that I was going through. And it's funny enough, I'll tell you a little story. It all came to fruition this year. Early in my 20s, my sister died. And I've told this story before, so if it's overlap for anybody listening. And at the time, I watched my dad beg for her life. He asked God if there was one more miracle left in the world for his baby girl. And the answer at that point in time was no for him. And it was no for my family. And it was no for me. Through the next 10 years of my life, I was led by that anger and that feeling of loss, all the way up until about June of this year. Right. So I'm getting ready to do a sermon. It's part of my fellowship group called Joshua's Men, which I am just unbelievably grateful for having been a part of this, because these men are like real leaders. Like, they're chasing God with everything that they have. And I'm like, you know what, I'll do a sermon on James 1:12. Blessed are those who are given trials, for they'll be given the crown of life. I'm like, that's me. Like, it's all about me, and I can do this. It's in June, right? So I'm 3 days away from going to give this lesson. I feel awful. This doesn't feel right. And speaking is what I do. I enjoy it. And I was panicking. I just don't feel good. Like, what is happening, right? And I get this text message from a random phone number, and it says, hey, this is so-and-so. I don't know if you remember me, but you helped me get into rehab 90 days ago. And I want you to know that I'm 90 days clean and sober, and it's because of you. And I don't think I could have done it without you. And I sat there and I'm like I'm having a hard time understanding this. And as I'm going through trying to like pull this all together, I get a text message in my family's group text message like, hey, are you coming to Jen's dinner? And Jen is my sister who passed away. So it was the same week of the death date of my sister that I get this text message. And it was almost like an epiphany. I'm like, wait a second. Like, oh, all this was supposed to happen. So I wrote my sermon again, and it was called All Prayers Are Answered. And, you know, the beginning of it is, you know, if it's no, that's okay. It's still answered. The second part is, if you're not around to see the impact, was it still answered? And the answer to that is yes. But the third part is, sometimes you become the answer. So when my dad said that prayer, right, he asked for his little girl to be saved. The answer was no, but it was no for a reason. It was no to him so that God could forge me into what I became, so that the answer could be yes for another man begging for his daughter's life 12 years later. And I sat there literally crying. I'm like, I understand. Like, and for what I went through, which, you know, everybody's got a sad story. It is what it is. It was very comforting for me to know that he was there the whole time, and that every trial and thing that I went through, everything I put my family through, everything that I saw, it led me to have a network. It also led me to have a certain skill set that other people don't possess, so that when I got the phone call from my friend saying, hey, my sister's addicted to drugs, I need help, I was able to get her on a plane and into a rehab within 12 hours, and now she's 90 days sober. So her father could get his little girl back. So that's how gratitude has changed. I am grateful for the thing that I wish hadn't happened most, because of the man that I get to be for other people now. And it's just an intangible that I couldn't be more proud of and more happy with.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. I used to call on God for favors. Now I understand what he's turning me into, and I get to be a servant for him, which is just, it's an amazing life.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff, man. What about something that you're most grateful for this year that didn't show up on Instagram?
Ooh, that's a great question. From a personal standpoint, I would say that there's definitely a peace that I have now that I don't think I've experienced before, where I'm not always looking over my shoulder or waiting for the other shoe to drop, or waiting for, you know, the rug to be pulled out from underneath me. I'm not waiting for the people that I think care about me to look at me and be like, hey, you were useful when you were useful, but you're not. I mean, we're from a production world. It's efficiency, right. It's efficacy. It's like you're only as good as your last performance. So I've always had the saying of, you're useful until you're not. And that's what my success and my friendships and my relationships are predicated on. So I think that was a big thing. And then from just the thing that I'm most grateful for this year was probably being able to have my second daughter. You know, yeah. That's just been we tried for, you know, over a year, and then we had some, you know, issues before that, and being able to watch her come into the world and watch her change our lives has just been amazing. There's no greater gift.
No, I'm into that. And I mean, specifically to fatherhood, how has that reshaped how you look at gratitude? Because until you've had kids, like,
oh man,
it's a game changer.
It really is. And I don't think love is a strong enough word for what you feel for your children. It's I just express it as a shift. Like, yeah, I love my wife, right? And I'd take a bullet for her. But just like that comedian says, like, I'd kill for my kids, right? And I'm more grateful for small things. You know, everything's a blessing. Like the opportunity to hold another kid, the opportunity to watch another one learn to crawl, the opportunity for her to say dada for the first time. It brings me back to the most simplistic thing of like, nothing in this world is mine. Right? All the material things, all of this other stuff that we're always constantly chasing and comparing ourselves to from a monetary standpoint, and all these other things. It brings you back to the most simplistic thing. Like, I'm loved by my kids. Mm-hmm. I'm loved by my wife. I'm loved by God, and nothing else matters. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah. No, I love that thought too, that, you know, nothing is yours. I even earlier this year, freaking, I guess because it meant so much to me, got it tattooed on my hand. Nothing's forever,
Yeah.
Including time. And to your point, yeah, we chase all these things and time and life and all that's very fleeting.
It is. I was told by a great leader of mine. His name is Don Carpenter. When I was young, it was not great timing when he told me. But after my sister died, I was struggling with it, and he pulled me in his office. He just looks at me. He's like, Nick, he's like, you're not going to want to hear this, but it's necessary to tell you. He's like, everything in life is finite, and I didn't know what that meant. He's like, that means everything has an expiration date. Mm-hmm. Everyone you meet, everything that you buy, everything that you touch will go away. And I just sat there like, oh, I'm really angry with you right now for saying that about my sister, but it's true. You got to hold on loosely. Like the house I own, somebody else will own it after me. Yeah. The car I have, somebody will have it after me. But the legacy that I leave with my kids and the impact that I plan to have on people's lives, it's all that really matters.
Yeah. Where is gratitude hardest for you to practice consistently?
When things are easy.
Why is that?
So because you get complacent, or I won't say you, I get complacent and I forget that everything's a gift. It's like, oh no, this is supposed to happen. I worked 10 years, 7 days a week. Like this is, me reaping what I sowed. And it's just not true. So when everything's super easy and it's flowing, you forget to sit back and say, hey, like all of this is precious. It's all a gift and everything. When things are hard, it's easier to pick out glimpses of light in the hard spots. Like if you're having a really rough season and something good happens, you're like, oh, thank God. Like right. I needed that. But when everything's going good, you're just like, all right, everything's good. You forget to say, hey, thank you. Like for all of the goodness that you're showing me. Thank you for all of these things. Yeah. I know it all comes from you, or at least for me. It's been a practice of, hey, everything good, everything bad. I'm saying thank you for it, beginning of the morning and at night. So, but yeah, for me, it's like when everything's going good and you don't pay attention to it, you just think that this is the way it's supposed to be versus diving in and saying thank you for it.
It's so funny because for me, when everything's going really, really well, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
Just like even if it feels very like deserving because you've put in all the effort and done the reps or whatever that may be. It's always, and a lot of this just comes from, traumatic events in past, but always this idea of, okay, but wait, or do I deserve this? Or is he going to take it away? Am I going to do something stupid? So no, and I love your point though about just being grateful for all of it.
Yeah. So where did some of that stem from? Like you're
as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. Childhood. So, and to your point, I mean, you mentioned, when you're a performer, you're only as good as that last thing that you did. Mm-hmm. And whether it has been in business or as a kid, if, my batting average wasn't great, that was a problem. If I didn't have A's, that was a problem. In business, if I wasn't selling the most, oh man, somebody else could, take my title. Or I wasn't worthy enough as somebody else. So a lot of that has come from that. So yeah, when it's all going really, really well, and I'm like, man, I've got a, beautiful and amazing wife. I've got exceptional children. I have an awesome business. I have an amazing team. It's like, oh, and I'm just looking around because that's just not something that was natural, I guess, earlier on in life.
Do you think that that thought process is from God?
Oh no. And it's definitely not self-serving.
Yeah.
It turns into more of that self-awareness purgatory too. Yeah. And then I get very hypervigilant on the negative and what potentially could happen and sometimes create it because of it.
Of course. Self-sabotage.
Yeah.
I got you, man.
Yeah. Well, so I was at church a couple of weeks back and the pastor, not our normal one, he's like one of these, he's like a teaching pastor or something, helps come up with sermons and those kind of things. But this really great dude, Josh, he shared this passage with me that I thought was really interesting. And it's Matthew 25:29. And it says, for everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has can be taken away. And Josh had even shared the moment. He's like, man, when I first read that, like, it makes me mad. why is it that people that already have are going to have more and have abundance, and then the people that don't have very much, it's going to be taken away? And as I sat there with it for a moment, I was just like, man. But I think it's because, and I love your perspective, but like, I think it's because they've proven that not only are they grateful for it, in most cases, they're honoring the gift that has been given to them that, yeah, they may have worked hard for, but I just think it's an interesting thought or passage.
It is. It's a very interesting passage. And, I would say that when you read something like that, the people that are living in abundance, they're living in abundance because it is a gift from God, right? To live in that abundance. And most people, unless they've, kind of circumvented the system, they're living in abundance because they're living in the purpose that God created them for. So if God gives you a bunch of gifts, right, that are yours and yours only because you are one of one, and you're utilizing those gifts in the manner in which he sees fit, he will give you more. If you are not living in your purpose, which I've done a lot of, and I use my gifts, which are meant to create abundance, for negative things, everything has been taken away from me. So it's more so living in your purpose and being a good steward to what God wants you to do that ends up blessing you beyond comprehension. And even the word abundance and blessing, it's a perception thing. When you and I hear it, we probably think money, right? But I know a bunch of miserable rich people.
Yeah.
And I know a bunch of people that think they are the most blessed human beings on the entire world that barely make any money. But they have the love of a good woman. They're happy with their kids. They go on vacation twice a year, and they just walk around with a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So
what does doing well with little actually look like to you?
I mean, that's a great question. And again, it really depends on what we consider to be little, right? So if we're looking at a monetary standpoint, it's taking the little that you have and being responsible with it, making sure that you have your priorities set and caring for things. If you have nothing, but you're still a good steward to God, and a percentage of that nothing is still going towards building the kingdom, I think that's doing a lot with very little. Or, you could have a whole bunch and you're not doing anything, and you're trying to hoard it for selfish reasons, and that ends up leading to a fall. So when I had nothing, when I just started over and, I'm making $12.90 an hour and whatever, like I didn't have anything, and this is in my 30s, my wife still tells the story of why she fell in love with me. And I had nothing to offer this woman. The day she knew she fell in love with me is because I cut the ends off of her sweet potatoes, which is something she had mentioned. She hated the ends of sweet potatoes. We didn't have a microwave. I used to reheat her food in the oven in our 1-bedroom apartment. We didn't have furniture. We used to sit on the floor and watch a 37-inch TV. And we just said that we were having picnics, right? Because we couldn't afford the couch at that time. But that is doing a lot with very little. It's like, I don't have anything to give you from a monetary standpoint, but I can give you my intention, and I can do the best with my intention as possible. So till this day, if you were to call Jen and say, hey, what made you fall in love with Nick? Like, he cut the ends off my sweet potatoes. He listened to me. So that's about the best example I can give you. I had nothing, but I knew how to cut some sweet potatoes and listen to her.
That's funny, man. Well, looking back, what were some small responsibilities that prepared you for bigger leadership and where you're at now?
Ooh, it's a blur. I will say that. I think that,
I don't know how I got tired.
Yeah, I'm so tired. I don't know. I think the willingness to accept responsibility is probably the biggest thing. And putting others in front of yourself is probably one of those. So as I came into the roles that I'm coming into now, it wasn't my intention to be in these roles. I saw opportunities for the company to get better, and I took it upon myself, even though it's not my job, to go and fix those things. Speaking kindly to people, spending time trying to help them develop, giving away leads, sitting down with others and being like, hey, I'm going to put my work to the side and help you develop certain things. I think that those are, in any leader's life, just something you're naturally drawn to do. And I think that doing those small things started helping me see little results build up until the point where I gained a little bit of confidence for me to say, no, like, I can be a leader. I can take on more. I can survive the pressure, and I can systemize it. So I think those would be some of the small things.
Yeah. Well, why do you think so many people misunderstand that as a principle and think it's unfair?
Which part?
So this
When you say
idea,
unfair.
this idea that you're taking on responsibility that's not even necessarily yours.
Gotcha.
Most people wouldn't do that.
And maybe it was Miles that went over this. And if it's not you, Miles, I'm giving you credit anyway. There's different mindsets. There's cafeteria mindsets and there's hunter mindsets, right?
That's
I think
Miles.
it was Miles,
Yep.
right? And that's the easiest way to explain it. Some people show up to work because they show up to work and they don't understand the inner workings of how work is. And other people are responsible for hunting and you only keep what you kill. Right. So I think that there's a big misunderstanding versus what my responsibility is and what it isn't. When at the end of the day, if people learn to zoom out enough, they'd understand that the ship sinks if everybody's not diving in together. Right. So some people want the business and everybody within it to thrive. And some people are just there because they need a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I've seen it on both ends.
Yeah, I think and I love that analogy that he shared. I reframed it a little bit and said that it's not a cafeteria. They treat it like a buffet.
Yeah.
Because it's just like endless.
Yeah.
And they think that there's always going to be something there. But I think it's so interesting though, because so many people, and I mean, you see this everywhere, but they want the outcome. They don't want the responsibilities associated with it.
Of course. And it comes back to this, right? The 1% is the 1% for a reason. God didn't build us all the same. Like if everybody was like me and you, it'd
be scary.
It'd be horrible. Like there's room for one of me on my team. There's room for one of you on yours, right? But what most of us misunderstand, the ones that claim to be the 1% and the ones that work to be the 1%, is by claiming that title and working towards that 1% understanding that means that we think differently than the other 99. So if we're going to claim 1%, we also have to claim that we're extremely different and that the thought processes that go through our head, like they're not going to be understood. Like we can't understand certain behaviors because we would never do them. It's not my place to understand that. But if I want to be that 1%, I also have to have the understanding that the other 99 is just as important. We're just going to think differently. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to try to force my opinions on you. It's like, I know what I am. I'm built for this. I know what you are. There's nothing wrong with that either. You're built for that. And we're going to work symbiotically and we're going to make stuff happen.
Yeah.
It's all a team.
And you need that other 99% too.
The world runs on the 99%.
Yeah.
But it's run by the 1%.
Have you ever, or even maybe in your own life, but have you ever seen somebody get more before they were ready and then pay the price?
Oh, me. 2023, all day long.
Yeah.
That whole year. Yeah, God was being really good to me. And the most money I'd ever made was in November of 2023. I had just gotten baptized. Man, my marriage was the best it had ever been. But I was so incredibly inauthentic. I was so incredibly lost. I didn't have the foundation of faith. I didn't have any of those things. And I ended up getting it just based on the skill set that I had. And it all came crashing down in December.
Yeah.
All of it. It all came to fruition. God was like, nope, you're moving too fast, and pulled it all back. And I've seen it in a bunch of business leaders too. Some of our mutual friends, they climb super, 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 super fast. And then there's a humbling period where it's like, hey, I get it. You're skilled. You're using the gifts. You're moving too fast. You're not being grateful. So I'm going to slow you down so you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt while I hurt, but you're not going to hurt yourself as bad. So I've seen it a lot. And even if you look in Greek mythology, Icarus flew too close to the sun. Wings melt off. It's written across everything. So I see it a lot. And then I also see people that get where they want to go and they're just miserable when they get there. So it doesn't get taken from them, but there's no satisfaction. I had a couple of coaches this year call me crying, literally like the day or the week after they had their biggest paychecks, and they realized that it was empty. Mm-hmm. It's like, my life didn't change. Yeah, I know. It's not going to. That's why you marry the work. So I could give you a lot. I'm not going to put any names out there, but it happens quite often.
Yeah. No, you see it all the time. So knowing that you went through that period yourself, how do you personally check yourself now to stay grounded and make sure that growth isn't outpacing your character?
That's a solid question. One, lived experience that does help, right?
Yeah.
Jelly Roll was on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and he's like, "Hey, so a rich guy or a young guy had asked a rich guy, hey, how did you get to where you are?" He's like, "Good decisions." And he's like, "Okay, well, how did you learn to make good decisions?" He goes, "Experience." He's like, "Well, how did you get experience?" Like, bad decisions. Right. So it's the lived experience definitely helps with that. And then also faith, man. Like, and it'll be a broken record because I'm going to talk about it all the time, but having faith will adjust you to where you're supposed to be. If you have the understanding that for every prayer I say, there are two people listening, right? One is going to show up quick, fast, and it's going to look like absolutely everything I've ever wanted. That's not from God. God is patient, right? He builds you. So the slow progressions, and you can kind of feel if you're ready for certain things or not. And I'm not talking about imposter syndrome, right? I'm talking about doing things the right way in a systematic form and fashion, knowing you didn't cut corners. You know when you are. You know when you're taking a cheat code or you're taking a side road. So having an honest conversation with yourself and being accountable and being like, this is the right way. This is the way that I'm going to go. And if I see a shortcut, that's probably not the road that I should be going down to get myself to a skip level.
Yeah.
Those skip levels, you'll feel them when you get there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I was going to ask you, what's a red flag that you would see that somebody's not ready for the next level, but that sounds like it.
Yeah. If a red flag, one, I would say how they're handling the level that they're at, right? If they're at a place of peace like you and I are now, which we have not been, because we're race cars. You point us down the track, I'm giving you a 4-second quarter mile, but if I crash, things are blowing up, right? There's no maneuverability. If you see somebody that is at a place of peace and they're comfortable in their environment and they've got it systemized, there's still stresses, but they're efficient and they can actually step back. They're not caught in the chaos of absolutely everything. That's when it's time for them to be challenged with a new level. You don't throw somebody into a new level when they're just barely keeping their nose above the water in the one that they're in.
So if gratitude is action, not just words, what does it look like on hard days for you?
Surrender. Just complete surrender. And it's an honest conversation. And this is for me. When I have the hardest days, the only person that I can quit and give everything to is God. And I will literally quit. Like, drop to my knees and just have an honest conversation with him. It's not, "Dear Heavenly Father, I'm in a rough spot right now." It's more like I'm talking to my dad. It's dropping to my knees and be like, "Hey man, like, I'm fucked up right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't feel anxious. I know that you're going to take care of all this. I know everything is fine, but I cannot do this. I am nothing without you. Please take this anxiety from me. Please." It's like a pleading phase with the understanding and the belief that I know he will.
Yeah.
Which is why I can surrender.
So being a man of high discipline, do you also believe that discipline is a form of gratitude?
100%. If everything that has ever been given to you is a gift, it is your responsibility and your duty as a man to discipline yourself to use them every single day. There are no days off with that. Even in this group, the Joshua's Men group, I had to sit down with Corey because I had an off night once in the group where I wasn't as outspoken as I normally am because I thought people were tired of hearing from me. So I kind of disengaged a little bit, and I went to lunch with him next week. And I always ask the same question to great leaders because I want to be one. And this is what I would want my team to ask me. I'm like, what can I do to help you? And he's a way better. I don't think there's anything on the planet I could actually do to help Corey. Like, he's just that good. Right. And he kind of looks at me. He goes, "I'm glad you asked that again." He's like, "You ready for this?" I was like, "Oh no." I knew it was coming. And he's like, "If you claim to be a leader and you have the influence that you have," he's like, "and I don't think you understand how much influence you have." He's like, "I watched that whole group for 4 hours after every question I asked. turn their head and look at you to see what you were going to say. And when you said nothing, it disengaged the entire group. He's like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to have rest like that. You don't get to have off days. You don't get to not be engaged. You don't get to not be engaged and happy with your wife, your kids, your group, anybody that you ever come in contact with. You don't get to do that. I was like, okay. He's like, you have to have the discipline to understand that as a leader, and leader being nothing more than influence, that you depict and push forward how things are going to go in every room that you walk into. So yeah, discipline is the foundation of everything, because you're not going to show up motivated for your wife, your kids, your business, your team, your friends, and all your responsibilities every day. You're just not going to. But there's an understanding that if you are, or if you want to be the thing that you're claiming you want to be, and you want the life you say you're worthy of, you have to have the discipline to show up at that high level anyways. Like, that discipline to show gratitude and to utilize those gifts that God gave you without wavering is the purest form of showing that you love God that I could express. Like, yes, you need to let him know that you're nothing without him and everything else, but you have to be a good steward. By the time your life is done, the goal shouldn't be anything worldly. It should be able to show up in front of him and him walk down and look at you and say, job well done, my good and faithful servant. That is it. And it takes discipline to do that.
Yeah. What do you just say to somebody when they're like, yeah, I get that, but the motivation's just gone?
Suck it up. No, I mean, motivation is fleeting. But you don't need motivations. You need systems. You need irreducible minimums is what I would say, right? So when you're motivated, and I'll just use some brief numbers from, we'll just say sales KPIs. When I'm motivated, I can get 10 leads in a week. When I'm motivated, I can do 10 social media posts in a week. When I'm motivated, I can do 15, 16 calls in a week. When I'm motivated, I can create a new system, right? But when I'm unmotivated, what is the irreducible minimum that I will not allow myself to go below to where I can still be effective? Those have to be founded. They have to be set. And irreducible means irreducible. They need to be there in your marriage. They need to be there in your prayer life. They need to be there with your team, because you can't always be 1,000% of yourself, but you can always be 110%, which is better than everyone else. So with my marriage, hey, irreducible minimum 1 date night. Would I like to go on 4 in a month? Of course. Irreducible is 1. Would I like to tuck my kids into bed every single night? Absolutely. Irreducible minimum is going to be 3. Would I love to train 5 days a week, push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull? Of course I would. Irreducible minimum is 3. So the motivation takes a back seat to, when I'm motivated, I'm here. When I'm not motivated, I'm still more effective than you. Yeah. That's what I would tell somebody. Have your motivated markers, then have your irreducible markers, and be successful in both.
It's funny. We just talked about minimum standards, especially in the month of December. Yeah. So, okay. Do you believe God entrusts more to people who've proven faithful in private?
I think that God has a plan for all of us. And I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know what it would say in the Bible from that aspect. But I don't think you go to heaven based on acts. I think you go to heaven based on Jesus winning over your heart. So it's a hard question. It's a hard question to ask whether he would entrust more. And again, it comes down to, when we say more, what are we talking about? Are we talking about more money? Are we talking about more influence? Like, it depends on what more is. But I think that he's got a great design for all of us. I think that he wants the maximum out of you that he put in you. And I believe he wants reliance on him. And I think that's the best way I can answer that question, because comparison is the thief of joy, and more is one of those words that kind of leads you into it. So I know, like, I'll never have as much money as Elon Musk, but I don't think that because he has more money, he's going to be entrusted with more impact based on the people that I meet, or based on the people that I can lead to Jesus. So it's a tricky question.
Yeah. And I think there's a massive responsibility for leaders, especially when you're given more,
Mm-hmm.
because other people are watching
100%.
how you handle that success.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. And again, leadership is nothing more than influence, right? It is. And your ability to influence people in a positive manner while reducing or minimizing as much of a negative effect as you can have on somebody's day. Because you can do 100 things right. And you know this with your reviews, right? Or anybody's reviews, just from a business standpoint. If you do the most absolutely wonderful job, one person may tell one person, or they may leave you a 1-sentence review unless you kind of push on them. You do anything wrong to one person, they will write a novel about you and how bad you are. And that's leadership. And having that understanding and understanding like what level of leadership you're with each person or at with each person is extremely important. Because all eyes will always be on you. Your team's success is predicated on you, the way they feel about themselves, the voice that is in your children's head comes from you. So it's an astounding responsibility that you have as being a leader, but that's what God made you for.
Real talk. Most marketing problems aren't marketing problems. They're business problems wearing a marketing hat. Cute, but very expensive. Maybe you're getting traffic, but it's not converting. Maybe you're converting, but your average sale is too low. Maybe things are fine, but not scaling. That's usually a system issue, not a need a new ad issue. So here's the move. Let's hop on a short call, look at your business, and see what's really holding your growth back. No pressure, no pitch, just a fit check. If we can help, we'll tell you how. If we can't, we'll tell you that too. Tap learn more and grab a time. It's a story that Miles shared recently in one of our coaching sessions, and he taught on this a while back at another event I was at, and it was that you get to this certain level of leadership or success, and for him it was a very high level. And he could be preaching in front of 15,000 people on any given Sunday, and he's like, and of all those people, there's going to be about 10% that don't like what you shared. And then of those 10% of those are going to write you a letter about how much they don't like, what you have shared and said. And as I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, I got frustrated the other day with one person that didn't agree with something that was just, super good and from a good place. And as I sat there in that moment, my wife, as she often does, reminded me that, if this concerns you based off of where you want to go, we've still got a gap.
Oh yeah. That's a great call out on her.
Yeah. She calls me out for a lot of stuff.
That's awesome. Nice job, Amanda. Kudos to you on that one. Like, oh, you want to be here and you're responding here?
Right.
It's a big gap.
Yeah.
That's something Jen would say to me too.
Yeah.
So that's great to have wives that support you and humble you at the same time.
Other than our wives doing this to us, like, how do you stay accountable when no one's checking your work? Because you get to a point in leadership and in life where other than God, like, you're the one that has to be accountable for everything that you do. So how do you stay accountable to yourself there?
For me, a big part of my personality is I like to see other people win. And unfortunately, a lot of the times I only feel useful when other people win. So it's easier for me to be accountable to my team than it is to me. If it was just me, just working for myself, and I wasn't in a leadership role, I don't think I'd be as effective as I am. And that's just me being completely honest. But knowing that I have like Carrie, Danny, JP, Taylor Parrish, Mercedes, Courtney, I've got a team of 47 people. All eyes are always on me. The last email that goes out at night is always going to be me. The first email that goes out during the day is always going to be me. If anybody ever messages, it'll always be me. So having the responsibility of those people helps. And I stick to my core values, man. Like, as a leader, one of the things that I believe most is you always deliver on your promises. And I've gone through periods of time where I've been just, I told you before, very inauthentic. Now I lean into who I believe I am and who I believe I can be. But I stay accountable through my community, not necessarily to me. And that's just an honest answer. I don't have as much faith in me as I have in God, and as much as I want to. How do I say this? I'll give you a story, right? And I'll wrap it up and it'll make sense. So Bert Kreischer, right? And I don't know if you've heard the story. It's a fatherhood story. He's at a party, and a guy comes over, and I don't know if he was a clown or whatever at the party, and I'm probably going to mess the story up, but you'll get the point. Guy comes up to him, and he gives this guy a big tip, right? Guy walks away, and then he comes running back to him, and he's crying. And Bert's like, hey, like I don't know how to feel about this. What's going on? And he's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, my daughter's getting ready to have a birthday, and I didn't have any money to pay for the birthday party. And he goes, now with this money, he's like, my daughter, I get to be the father that my daughter thinks I am. Right? So I always kind of keep that in the back of my head. It's like, I want to be the leader, and as good of a leader as my team thinks I am. So I push myself because of that to make sure that I get to live that standard. I won't fall back on it just because I know that they need that, and I know that I want to be what they see me as. I want to earn the right to be as good as I think they see me as.
Yeah. No, I love that story, but even more than that, I love the massive amount of self-awareness that answer takes, because as you're speaking this, I'm like, man, I feel the same way. Mm-hmm. Like, left to just myself, I would not be where I may not even be here.
No.
I mean, I had somebody very recently in my life, and I won't share the story. It's very odd how this relationship turned out or how we got connected, but we were sitting on a call the other day, and he goes, can I ask you something super personal? And I said, yeah, I'm an open book, man. Like, ask me whatever you want. And he's like, no, super personal. I'm like, now you're scaring me, but yeah, go for it. He goes, have you ever wanted to end your life? And I was like, oof, yes. And he's like, and why didn't you? I'm like, well, when I look around, I couldn't imagine the traumatic impact it would have on my children and my wife. And I think it is one of the most selfish things that people can do, especially when people are counting on you. And so with that, yeah, I'm still here for them.
Yeah.
And when I think about business too, and you know this, like when we rolled in, I mean, this time last year was a very not good time for me. I'm looking at, I got one business that's going away and a business partnership that was just in shambles. I've got, another gentleman that's supposed to, was looking to be a partner inside of BLG, and I framed it well enough to where it was, you're either going to prove it and then we can do that or not. And I get to the end of the year and just everything's going poorly. Mm-hmm. And I'm going into this year and I'm like, man, like this can't fail because I have these amazing team members and an amazing business partner and an amazing wife. And I remember just going on a walk, literally on a walk with God. And I'm like, man, I can do math pretty well. I got to make a lot more money really quick. Mm-hmm. and if it weren't for, these people and that, blessing and the hard work, like, yeah, left to my own devices, I would not have accomplished what I have this year.
Thank you for the transparency. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've been there. They say that the thing you think about last before you make that decision is the thing you love most in the world. And it's always my son. Yeah. Always. Like there have been some very trying times in my life where, I don't want to say that I would consider it an option, but it's just like, man, like this would be a hell of a lot easier. Because you're faced, you're faced with a lot of things, and I know for some people listening, it's probably hard for you to understand, like, oh, that's selfish. Like, why would you ever even think of that? And so on. You probably never face the amount of responsibility that I have. And God made you, He made me. You're going to fight your battles. I'm going to fight mine, and mine go a different route. But, I've won every single day. I'm still here. Right. And it's the same thing with you. But being in those positions, something profound happened to me. And you'll probably relate to this, right? I was talking to Jen, and we're taking a huge undertaking in business this year. Huge, like 2 multi-million-dollar gyms are going up. We had one gym closed down. We had a lot of expenditures and a lack of income. We had to shift directions a million times. You've heard me talk about it. It has been like a year, along with doing a year-long discipleship, along with bringing another little girl into this world, plus. And during the year, I looked at my wife, and I walked in the house, and I was like, hey, if I burn this all to the ground, I am so incredibly sorry. And I was like, but I want you to know how much I appreciate you anyways. And she turns and she looks at me, like she just put her hand on the counter. She goes, if you burned it all down to the ground today, she's like, you go rebuild it tomorrow. And then she just got back to doing what she was doing. And it kind of set with me. It's like, yeah, even if it's not okay, it's going to be okay, because I've got, like, failure doesn't even cross my mind anymore. It really doesn't. Like, I know I'm going to mess stuff up, and I'm not really worried about it because I'm not perfect, and I'm a sinner, and I've broken stuff, and I've probably failed at more things than most people have tried. People only see, like, oh, he's going to open up a gym. Do you know how many things I messed up before I got to that point? But even if I were to lose it all today, I have the firm foundational belief that the core group of my friends, between you, Lloyd, JP, Alex Smith, and some of these guys that I just, like, I run with, and I'm missing a million of you, I know, or we're on a podcast, it's on the spot right now. Carrie, like, my core group that I am loyal to and that is loyal to me, if we lost everything today, we would go and sit down at breakfast tomorrow and say, okay, what are we going to do next? Because this isn't acceptable. And that, like, having that faith and having good partners and having that group, I don't believe that there's anything we can't do.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that it's same thing. Luke Henderson, like, we bring all of us together in a room. Once we get everybody's attention and all the other things that we would need to do, I guarantee you that we could, no matter what we lost, we could build it back. So I don't even think about it anymore. It's like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
God has blessed me. He's blessed me with my people. He's blessed me with talents. It's going to work. If this thing doesn't work, something else is going to work, because we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. And I think it's super important to highlight the fact that, so many people say it's lonely at the top, and yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's very important to do exactly what you have done and what I have done, which is create that core group of people mm-hmm. that help you stay accountable. And yeah, if shit's not going well, help get it back right. I never forget, a couple of years ago, we were growing way too fast for what I was ready for. And I was watching systems break and deliverables not be, done on time. And that all these things were going on. I'll never forget. It was like 10 o'clock on a Friday night. And I text my business partner, and I was just like, bro, like, I'm fucking drowning. Like, there's 57 things that need to be done right now. And I have so much stress and anxiety, I can't even figure out which one mm-hmm. to do. And he responds back and says, lucky for you, I was trained in search and rescue. I got your back, buddy. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, well, that doesn't fucking change anything, but just the self-assurance to know that, you've got somebody that's got your six, and yeah, you could burn it all to the ground tomorrow, and you could sit down and not only build it back, but build it back faster and probably stronger.
Yeah. Partnerships are the thing at this point. Like, and this goes to anybody listening. You can try to do this lone wolf thing, and you can go at it by yourself. And people are competing, like, in teams now, right? Even, like, the most successful people I know, even if they're the focal point of the company, they had massively different individuals on their team that played key roles. Mm-hmm. Now, even if you look at my team, right? JP, his energy is always going to draw people in, always. And he can talk to a dynamic of people that I can't talk to. Danny Tran is the exact same way. Blair Hereford is brilliant when it comes to education. Lloyd is a visionary. And then I'm the ops guy. Like, y'all come up with the vision, I come in and I make it happen, and I make it happen faster and stronger. having that team makes me a formidable foe to anybody, right? I can't do those things by myself. So to anyone listening, if like you think you know all the answers and you think you can do it, I'm telling you right now, you bring you against my team, we're going to swallow you up. Like, I have that much faith, and I urge you to find your partners. I urge you to find those 3 people that you can take over a country with, like Joey Diaz says. Like, you don't need 20 friends. You need 3 motherfuckers. You take over a country, but...
Well, I mean, alone you can definitely go fast, but you sure shit ain't going far.
Exactly. And we all know where fast gets us. Anything that comes fast goes fast.
Yep.
Because you'll grow to a point where you've exceeded and you have found your limitations and your blind spots. If you don't have partners pointing those out and covering you, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Pivoting a little bit, what's one area that you think people need to steward better before asking more?
I think that, and this is probably just a lot on my background and what I do for a living, I think that leading themselves well is probably the most important thing that people need to start doing more of, instead of trying to get more responsibility to lead other people. Right? So fixing your internal self-talk, working on your personal development, working on your physical presence, staying healthy, staying disciplined, and having those priorities for your life set, because your team is going to mirror you. Right? So if I say my foundation is faith, family, fitness, and finance, and those are my priorities, and I make appointments with my priorities every single day, you can see that on me when I walk into a room. I would love to give that life to other people, and they can see that on me, and they can look at me and be like, I want that. I want the physique. I want the faith that he has as a grounding. I want the family. I want that good marriage. I want the 3 kids, or whatever. Like, it's presenting like what you would want them to have, and then being able to project it for them. If you don't do that well, and you have negative internal self-talk, and you're not taking care of yourself, and you're always tired, and you're walking around looking at your toes, and you're just struggling, making it through the day, and everything is a complaint, like, you're not fit to lead people yet. That doesn't mean you're not fit to lead them. It means you're not leading you. And if you don't lead you, you don't need to have the responsibility to lead other people, because you're not doing them a service. You're doing them the best of your ability, but your ability is not high enough to get them where you should get them, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. So what would you tell that person that like is that right now? They're that person that feels stuck. What would you tell them to do first?
When something is easy, you do more. When something is hard, you do different. Talk to somebody who's better than you in whatever area you want. I'm enjoying my walk, but I'm not advanced in it. Like, in no way. So like, I went to a discipleship group for a year where you can't miss meetings. You can't do anything. I stretched myself to be around people that are just at a different level than me. When it comes to fitness, it's the same thing. I don't hang around guys my age. I hang around 20-year-olds that are in phenomenal shape so that I can stretch myself and get better. I am not that smart when it comes to interpreting labs and gut health and stuff I wasn't. So I hang around Lloyd and Blair. They're smarter than me. I would say pick the person that has the skill set that you want and plagiarize the hell out of it and learn. That's it, right? Join a coaching group. Get around different people. Walk into rooms you don't belong in. Don't say anything and listen. The only wrong answer is not doing anything.
Yeah.
Whatever your first step is your first step, but the only wrong answer is not doing anything at all. Find somebody that has what you want and ask how to get it.
Yeah. No, I love that. And as leaders, though, I mean, it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
So, and that doesn't mean we have to be perfect, but it's definitely a vital part of it. So I want to move into the last part of this, which is always my favorite. Actually, the first time we did this was with you, and now it just has stuck. So yeah, jumping into our rapid fire. And it's just first thing that comes to mind. So what is one thing from this year you didn't expect but needed?
My daughter.
A habit that changed your life more than you thought it would.
Praying.
Something you used to complain about that now you see as a gift.
Endless work.
One responsibility most people avoid but shouldn't.
Going to sleep. Going to bed on time.
Discipline or motivation.
Discipline.
Comfort or growth.
Growth.
One thing you're committed to stewarding better next year.
Creating systems and pathways for other people to be more successful than me.
No, that's great stuff, man. Well, I know we talked a lot about God and stewarding better during this, but foundationally, this was about gratitude.
Yeah.
And as we're rolling into a new year, and again, people are picking goals and all this shit. And yeah, I mean, there's some benefit to that. I think greater than that, the idea of living a life of gratitude is way more important, especially when you're looking for more. So with that, I have one last thought for everybody, and we'll close it out. If God were evaluating how you handled last year, what would he say? Are you ready for more? Or are you still managing what you already have?
Being grateful is genuinely the key to happiness, right? You cannot be grateful and anxious at the same time. The same part of the brain controls that. So whenever you don't feel well, or whenever you're lost in the future or the past or whatever it is, sit down, write a gratitude list, say thank you for absolutely everything that you possibly can. Enjoy the ride. And I saw a clip the other day, and somebody asked him, hey, what is the meaning of life? And it was just enjoying the passage of time. And the only way to do that is to stay grateful for the time that you're in.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Amen, brother. I appreciate you having me again, Dustin.
Yeah, no,
Genuinely.
Nick, it's always a pleasure, man. I love the conversation. And for everybody listening, like, subscribe, tell your friends if this did anything for you. But more than anything, lean into a life of gratitude, and you'll be surprised what starts to show up.
Absolutely.
Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody.